Well, I was just telling everyone we're going to be talking about You'll Be the Death of Me, this stunning cover. Um, so let's just jump right in. Why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us about your author journey up to this point?
Sure. Hi, I'm Holly. My name is Holly. My real name is Holly, but I have two pen names, Holly James and Holly Michelle. This book is under Holly Michelle, and it came out the day before yesterday. This is my seventh traditionally published book. I'm looking at it as lucky number seven. I hope good things come of it. You can see my some other books behind me back there. And this gorgeous cover is actually in on the wall in front of me. I have it framed because it's literally artwork. It's so beautiful.
So beautiful.
But yeah, I've been in traditional publishing for a while. I started, actually, it's been about 10 years. I started querying in 2016 to find an agent, and I signed with my agent in 2019 as a thriller writer. And my first thriller didn't sell. And then during the pandemic, morphed over into romance, something more lighthearted. And my debut was kind of like a magical realism women's fiction. And then from there, I've gotten like progressively more romantic and steamier with all of my books, culminating in this one. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey for sure, a very educational journey. But I know I'm fortunate to be able to get paid to make up stories. So
Yeah,
it's
I was looking over my shoulder. I have Last Night Was Fun.
oh
I can't
yes.
reach it. I was gonna try to like reach it and show that one off, but I read that one last year and I loved it so much. So
Well, thank
when I
you.
got access to this one, I was so thrilled. For those who don't know, can you give us a synopsis of You'll Be the Death of Me?
Sure. So this one is definitely the most speculative thing I've ever written. It's magical realism to the extreme, I guess. Paranormal romance is the genre, but it's about a entry level clerk in the afterlife administration, whose job is to transition people, like process their souls basically into the afterlife. And he makes a mistake one day, and he processes a young woman in her 30s instead of this 95-year-old woman with the same name. And so then on Earth, the main character, Dell, she wakes up dead a week before her wedding, and she's like in the prime of her life. You know, she owns her own restaurant. She comes from a high profile family. She's about to marry the mayor's son, and then all of a sudden she's a ghost. And so then Cole, the clerk, he comes to Earth and he's given 3 days to fix the problem, and they have to race around together and figure out where they kind of took a wrong turn in her life to undo things, and it's full of shenanigans and fun.
I definitely wanted to talk about the fact that it does take place over 3 days because it's such a short timeline to create a romance, and I always find those the most impressive, I guess, because how do you make a fall in love HEA story believable in such a short time frame on page?
Yeah, it's really challenging, and I realized my favorite stories, regardless of genre, are the ones that take place in a really condensed amount of time or in like a single location. Because, like you said, it's like the challenge of making an engaging story unfold in such a compressed amount of space. And so I think it's never really my intention, like, oh, this story is going to take place in a day. It's just kind of how it happens. But it is, yeah, it's particularly challenging in romance because you have to get the reader to buy in, to be invested in this relationship as it blossoms and grows, and especially if they've just met each other. Sometimes it's hard to suspend your disbelief enough to be like, all right, they're not in love after like 10 seconds. But this story, I think that short timeline in the context of a paranormal romance, I can't say that. It gives you a little more flexibility because you can kind of play with the magical realism of it. So in this story, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it's not the first time they've met. I'll say that. So there is history between them that I think that kind of lends a little more plausibility to them falling in love over the course of 3 days. But it's still, too, when you write something in such a short period of time, like it allows the scenes to be really long and really deep. You know, like a good like 50 pages can take place over like 10 minutes, and it's just I really enjoy playing with that like time on that scale, I guess.
Did you have to do a lot more editing with that process than typical?
I think so. I think I remember having to go back in. I think it might have been during copy edits. An editor called out like this is supposed to be 3 hours later, but it's also still morning, and that doesn't make any sense. So I had to go back through and kind of layer in like time cues, like just little things that like, you know, the midday sun was shining, and like, oh, the 5 o'clock news is on, and just kind of put like markers in the plot line, just to make it, I don't know, a little more like grounded. But yeah, I think I had to kind of stretch out the pacing because so much of the story takes place in that first day. And then I had to make it last longer and add more the next couple days.
Well, as the main character, Dell is just an absolute force. But on the other hand, she can be very people pleasing when it comes to like her family, her parents. Why did you want to showcase these two opposing character traits in one person?
I feel like I never have good answers to these questions. So I'm like, I don't know, it just came out that way.
That's
But I
okay.
think I think in this case in particular, that kind of the final form of her personality was really tied to the making the plot of the story make sense, like her motivations make sense, because you know I wanted her to be in the prime of her life and have everything going. She's about to get married, but I had to make it plausible that she would break up with her fiance and fall in love with someone else. So I needed her fiance to be like not the greatest guy, and that then kind of backfed into her motivation for marrying him in the first place is really tied to her people pleasing. So I think it was a very like layered layered logic system that kind of evolved her final personality on the page.
Well, and then Cole, her co-star on Paige, she's quite formidable when it comes to everybody else except for her parents. And he, I don't want to call him a pushover. He's quite timid. So they're opposites. We would definitely, I would call that opposites attract on Paige.
Yes.
What was the dynamic for you like writing this? Was it fun? Was it difficult? How did you decide to explore those two opposing characters?
It was really fun. I think I liked making him very soft and kind of shy and reserved, and you know all he wants to do is fix his mistake, but he's so bound by having to follow the rules and not mess up again, and he's just very kind of caged in by his own, yeah, just desire to not break any rules. And that causes problems. So I liked having her kind of be this steamroller and um push him out of the way in a sense. And I think I realized at some point while I was drafting that my favorite TV show of all time is Parks and Rec, and I was like, oh, she's like Leslie, like she's a steamroller. I think I was watching an episode where someone calls Leslie a steamroller, and I was like, oh my god, it's Dell. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, let's make her even more like she has good intentions, but she's just so single-minded of like let's succeed and let's accomplish and let's get this done that she just kind of plows over anything in her way.
Well,
So
this
yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was gonna say, so it was really fun to have like the total opposite to balance that out and make her realize like slow down, chill out a little bit.
Well, I thought there was just such funny moments between them because of those. Like that, if you think about it, if they felt similarly, it wouldn't have added such comedy to it, in my opinion. I thought it was a really great way to kind of play with the comedic element. So very funny.
Thanks.
On the other hand, it does deal with heavy topics. I mean, she's dead. He is essentially a reaper of sorts. Um, there are other elements that I don't want to go into because it'll spoil, but just heavy content. And then you pair it with the levity and the brightness and the humor. How did you approach writing such heavy topics while keeping it fun and hopeful?
Yeah, that's another question. Like, I don't know, it just happened. But I initially, I've had always wanted to write a story about death, but I didn't know how. I couldn't ever really think of a good avenue into it. But I knew I wanted to write a funny story about death. I should say that because I think death is terrifying, and I've had experiences with people I know who have passed away, and in kind of very sudden and shocking ways, and it made me think of. I think it was like an intention to soothe myself. I wanted to just kind of tell this story to myself to make me feel better. And then it ended up getting pitched to my publisher, and now here we are. But I don't know. I think there's just I mean, I don't know. This is very morbid, but like we're all gonna die someday, so let's let's just try to make it less scary and kind of soft and funny. And I think I wasn't like keeping track of this chapter was sad, this chapter has to be happy, this one, it just kind of organically came together that things were kind of silly, kind of. I mean, this book is absurd when when you think about it. It's pretty ridiculous, but in a fun, good way. Um, so I think it just kind of, yeah, it just kind of came about. And I do remember in earlier drafts worrying like, oh, is this too dark? Like, is this too much? And the one plot line with her fiance, I remember asking my editor, like, is this too much for a romantic comedy? And she's like, no, I love it. So you can thank her for that. But yeah, I think it just kind of, I don't know, just came out, and it's a reflection of me trying to make death less scary, and my brain works in comedy, so that's how it came out.
I mean, fair enough. We've got to laugh. What is the saying? If you don't laugh, don't cry. Well, how did you choose to write in third person versus first person?
That's another thing that it just happens. I don't know. Like I hear when I get an idea for a story, I usually get like the high concept hook. Like, this is like the hook for this one is accidentally killed the wrong person. And then I get an idea for the characters and a couple of pivotal scenes, and I just start to like hear it. Like I can just hear it in my head. And for some reason, all of my romances have come out in third person, but my kind of like suspense comedy, the Big Fix and the Alias Agenda, those came out in first person. And I don't know, it's I know some people hold like very strong opinions about narrator point of view, and I honestly don't even think of that when I pick up a book. If the story is engaging, I don't even register if it's written in first or third or whatever. But yeah, that's fascinating to me as well. I'm like, I don't know, I don't know why it comes out in third person when I write romance, but
Well, did you
it
have
does.
a favorite scene to write without spoiling anything?
I love the scene where Cole comes to Earth and has to tell her he accidentally ended her life. That was the first scene I thought of, like the line where he's like, "Just relax," and she's like, "Don't tell me to relax. You just told me I'm dead, and it's a clerical error." Like that line was in my head from the day I got this idea, and I think really like the whole story kind of like grew out around that moment. So I love that scene because he's so like, I'm sorry," and she's like, What did you do to me?" That's my
Yeah.
favorite.
Imagine having that conversation. I would hate that. I would not want to be, I don't know which is worse, to be the
I
one who
know.
accidentally
Either
did
side
it.
of it.
Oh my gosh. Well, if readers could only take away like one thing, whether it be just having fun or something else, like what would you want it to be from this story?
Oh gosh, I've gotten so many really, really thoughtful messages from readers of this. Like people have said, like, I'm afraid of death, this made me feel better, or I recently lost someone and this made me feel better, or this made me like giggle and kick my feet. It's just so sweet. I love all of that. But I think too, like I of all the fictional characters I've written, I think I'm the most similar to Dell, just very like achievement oriented and no off button and just keep going, going, going. So I really like the message that she needs to slow down and like actually live and realize that, all of these accomplishments can add up, but to what end if you're not happy and enjoying your life? So I like her lesson of like, chill out, take it easy, slow down, stop and smell the roses kind of thing. And I remember too drafting it thinking like, what's her arc, like what does she learn through this? Like obviously there are some big things in her life that she needs to change, but overall, what's her main takeaway here? And I was like, is that enough to realize that you just need to calm down and slow down in life? And my editor was like, yeah, definitely. So
it's not that serious. Well, what is a piece of advice that you would have for, we just talked about readers, what you want them to take away. What is a piece of advice you would have for writers who are new in their journey or veterans? Something you would have wanted to hear.
I think, yeah, probably the biggest lesson I've learned, the biggest takeaway is writing is the art and publishing is a business. And the sooner you can separate those two and emotionally detach yourself from the business elements of it, the healthier your relationship will be to the industry. Because publishing is such a roller coaster. It can be, the highest highs and lowest lows within minutes of each other, all from like an email you get, or a phone call. And it's a very emotionally challenging journey to create something you love so much and you're so personally connected to, and then kind of like sever your control over it and put it out into the world where it becomes a product and people can judge it and buy it or not buy it. And it's, so the more you recognize that you need to separate the art from the business, the better it will be for you mentally and emotionally.
Well, speaking of publishing, and absolutely no pressure here because this book did just come out, but what is next for you as an author?
I don't know. This is my last book in contract. We'll see how it does, and if I'm going to continue in the romance world. I do actually have completely different genre. I've written a horror novel that my agent is waiting on the manuscript for. I was going to let this book kind of like have its moment and then jump to that one. So we'll see.
Would that one be under Holly Michelle or Holly James?
Or a third Holly? I don't know.
Oh, sure.
Probably Holly James, but I don't know. I mean, if I completely switch genre, the publisher might ask for even another pen name. So I have too many names. I don't know who I am.
Well, that's okay. We want as many as we can get if it means more books.
Aw, thanks.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. And again, everyone, this cover alone is reason enough to buy the book, but the story is incredible. And it just is wrapped in this beautiful packaging as well. So everyone should go get it. It's available now. And Holly, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. It was great talking to you. And I know, I know that the cover is selling copies of this book, which is great. And I'm thrilled to have it.
Cover buy is a thing for a reason. Like, it is true.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, have a great night, and thank you so much, and thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.